Hey everyone, it's Nancy, the nurse practitioner here in Connecticut, in the USA, with my lovely friend Jolene Hill, who I met on LinkedIn. I am a nurse practitioner and have this YouTube channel for many of you all over the world about how to stay well as we age together. It's for you, the caregiver, it's for your mom and dad, it's for your children even, as I'm finding out that we need to all learn how to take care of each other as we age and learn things together. And we're going to learn today about something very important that many of us don't take time to address. Jolene's company, the title is Life is Short, so Let's Talk. I love that, Jolene, because a lot of people don't want to talk about certain things and they put it under the table, and when it's too late, they wish they did. So before we start, I just want to tell you what we're going to learn about today in the video so you get an idea. We're going to talk about Jolene Hill, who's got a great story to tell you, and that would go over her background, and then what are some of the things that motivated her to start this program that she does. We're going to go over her actual products that you guys will love, that are downloadable and printable and usable and very friendly, because I went on her site today, and we'll talk about a mobile app at the end. But let me just start out by giving you a short bio about Jolene. She lives in Australia, which this is so cool. You're my first far away person. And she motivated families to have conversations about what really matters in their life. She was a funeral director, which is a very interesting job. And one thing I remember when I first met her is that she told me that people in the family would be at the funeral or in the actual service, and the children wouldn't all know the same things about dad. They all had different discussions and suggestions about where he worked and all the things about his life. And she found that people didn't have all the information. So what's really cool about this is we'll go into what she's actually done. But she also had a husband that she took care of for a while that was terminally ill with cancer. And I could talk all day here, but we're going to go ahead and get Jolene on so she could tell you all about her wonderful program for Life Short, Let's Talk. So Jolene Hill, nice for you to join me today.
Hello, Nancy. I'm so excited to join you, and it feels quite strange because it's very, very early in the morning here in Australia. So I'm in Brisbane in Queensland, so in the northern part of Australia.
What time is it now there?
We're just 20 past 6 in the morning.
Oh boy.
So,
Oh wow. Okay, it's 4 o'clock here, but I could have made it later.
no, absolutely fine. So yes, my background, as you mentioned, is as a funeral director. That's my professional career. I learned a lot from doing that, like you mentioned, about families that often don't know a lot about their loved ones' life story. They know the stories that were told over and over, but when it gets down to a lot of nitty-gritty, like what they did is for their first child and stories from their childhood, and sadly, they don't know a lot. It's just not something we always talk about over dinner. And I thought, what a shame, because once people have gone, it's too late to ask them about those types of things. And I found that with my husband as well. He was very ill for 17 months. And one of the things that really lifted his spirits, we have 5 sons, and if my sons were sitting there and they would ask him questions about his earlier life, and A, we found out a lot of things that we didn't know, but B, it's a wonderful thing for people to do, to talk about their life story. It's been documented. In fact, here in Australia, Monash University have just completed a study about the health benefits of talking about your life story. And there's many health benefits, particularly for people that are unwell or might be isolated. Very applicable at the moment, isn't it? And it helps with feelings of reaffirming their life values and what they've held important in life, and generally relieving loneliness and isolation. So it has a lot of health benefits, as well as the great benefit of recording some of your life story and having a keepsake for your family to keep.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I will tell you that I went on your website and You were gracious enough to send me some of these beautiful cards. This is how the kits come. I love the fact that you use cards. Can you tell me, this one's on, let's do the first one first, your life story. Why did you use cards to tell the story?
I used cards because we're all familiar, most of us are very familiar with cards. You know, there's something that we're very, is part of our life. And there, it's a little bit like, I don't know if you have meetings where you go to and sometimes they use a talking stick. So that to control the meeting, they hand around a talking stick. And when you're given the stick, that's your time to talk. And the cards are a little bit like that. They're giving somebody permission to talk. So they're very engaging. It's not like somebody sitting down with a clipboard and a pen, and it starts to seem like hard work, you know, these questions, whereas the cards are much more kinetically involved. They're physical, and people seem to engage much better with just one question on a card. And they are what they are. They're conversation starters. They're, you know, sometimes people will pick a card out about the life story pack and say, well, that doesn't apply to me, but what I can tell you about that, and they'll launch into a completely different story from their life. So I just chose the cards as a more engaging way to break the ice and get these conversations going in families.
So how many cards are in this pack for your life story?
So there's 50 cards, that's 50 questions.
Okay.
And, you know, people often say to me when you talk to them about recording something about their life story, they don't know where to start. That's a common, you know, thing they say. Or they say, I don't think I'm being very interesting. I don't know what I would talk about. But I try to say to people, it's not about writing your life story in a time frame, in a timeline, rather. It's just about starting to tell those stories, because amazingly, when you start to think back and you start to tell a story, it always leads to another story about your life. And I find myself, it often just clicks that you start remembering things from your life that you've long forgotten. Often when I hear other people at talks that I give, and they'll talk about parts of their life, and it will just click in my memory, I'll suddenly remember something that, wow, I did that as well, and I'd forgotten all about it. So it's the process of starting. As you said, we all know that we should have these conversations, but human nature, we procrastinate. And we keep putting it off because we think it's too difficult. And the cards are just a great icebreaker.
I'd like to interrupt a minute because the cards came to me in the mail in America. It took a month to come from you. It's how long it took. But it has instructions. You have to have a minimum of 2 people to use the cards to make a meaningful discussion. That means a minimum. You can't do it yourself. You have to have somebody to talk to you, and they kind of write it down. You can shuffle the cards. You can go in order by number, or you can go by the pretty pictures on the back and pick which one out gets you inspired and start there. And I actually went online, just so everybody knows, and I downloaded the booklet, which either you can have an electronic version of this, or you can have a paper version where you fill in the blanks based on the number of the question. And the questions are really cool. The questions are great. What are you most grateful for? Tell me 3 words that best describe you. This is so cool. And you know, then once it's done, even if you scratched up the paper, I can go online and I can actually write it in and make an electronic copy for my mother-in-law's 7 children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren. Everybody could have a copy, and we could put mom on the cover, picture of her. As a matter of fact, I'm planning on using your cards and doing a video to show people this works. She said she wants to be in a lot of my videos, so here we go with my mother. She's been exploited for sure. I love the cards. They're wonderful. And the other thing I loved is that, do you have more than one language besides English?
That's right. We're in the process we have at the moment. We have Chinese, Vietnamese,
Wow.
Polish, Spanish. We just added Spanish, and we have Greek and Italian and Arabic coming. So We're
Wow.
trying to add them in as quickly as we can. So, yeah,
Well, we
very
all have those
important.
websites that evolve, so as they grow and the interest goes out, we will keep adding languages, which is wonderful. I love that.
Yeah.
Some more things that we should talk about. We talked about the mobile app, though. No, what's the mobile app about? Tell me what's going on with that.
That's fairly new. It's only just been developed in the past couple of weeks. It was launched. It really is what we're talking about, the cards and the booklet, but it's within an app. Ever since the cards came out 2 years ago, I've had people asking me, "Are you going to put this into an app?" And I resisted. I said, "Oh no, it's all about the one-on-one conversation." But I came to realise that it's different strokes for different folks. A lot of
Yes.
people now very much like to use their smartphone. Um,
Yes.
I thought it might encourage those younger grandchildren to say, "Hey, granddad, I've got an app here. I'm just going to flip a card on the app. They're the same cards and ask you a question. Granddad can talk and it will turn it into text on the app. And then you can submit that for the booklet. So it's
When's that coming
basically the
out?
same.
When is that coming
Uh,
out, Jolene?
it's just been launched now. It's called Your Life Talk.
Okay.
So it is available now, and it's for the people that just, I'm just trying to really encourage everybody to have these conversations within their family, and hopefully the app will get out to even more people.
Well, my mother-in-law loves to play cards. And
Yes.
actually, now that she moved in, I'm going to get all the neighbors, once we're out of this COVID thing, to come over and learn how to play cards because they were like, I never play cards. Well, she knows games. And what did
Wow.
you do in your pastime when you were in the 50s and there wasn't internet and there wasn't a lot of TV shows? You played cards. And she's 87. Boy, can she beat you at cards. So these cards are so cool, and she will definitely love doing this with me. I know it. I also saw the back of the box has yourlifeassist.com.au. Can you explain what's on that part of the app or the this site?
Yes, that's a website that I have as well. So the cards can be purchased on yourlifetalks.com.
Okay.
That's where all the card products are and the app. But the other website, Your Life Assist, I designed for carers. So I designed it for carers, as I myself was a carer for my husband. And like I found it very difficult to find all the information that I needed in the one place. So I made the website, invited lots of people to write blogs and articles for me, just to help the carers out there in society. I actually designed it for carers that are caring for someone that has a life-limiting illness.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's, as you know, very specific care. Um,
Yes.
you need a
Yes.
lot of information in terms of support for yourself as a carer and the family that
Mhm.
are with the person who has the life-limiting illness.
Right.
And yeah, so that's
Well,
basically what that's designed for.
one thing I just want to say to everyone, just going to move something over here, sorry, is caregivers in America are carers in other parts of the world. So that word carers, that may, thank you for doing that. I wanted to see more of you and I wasn't sure how to interrupt you on that, but that's good. Yay. So caregivers, and caregivers are all of us, nurses, doctors, children taking care of the parents taking care of the children. We are all caregivers in some form, so you don't have to be a 60-year-old woman taking care of your 90-year-old mother to be a caregiver. So we got to make sure we make that broad. And, caring for ourselves is so
So
important
important.
because if you don't care for yourself, you can't put that oxygen mask on and then say, I'll take care of you, like on the airplane. Put it on you
Yes.
first before you can do the person next to you. And so these things are really, really cool. And I've had a lot of conversations with my patients, and some of them were on their actually dying and told me things, but they were not my children. They were not my parents.
Yes.
And there were things I had to tell their children that I experienced, but they weren't
Right.
there and they didn't hear it. So, the one thing about, and I will say this, is that I have this YouTube channel, everyone, called Caregiver Success. And, part of the YouTube is to prevent medical crisis, and it's teaching caregivers everything from skin tears to all the tools out there. And the world is so full of tools. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to find these good people who have all made them, like Jolene. Love this. This is really wonderful. And can we talk about the memo of the wishes? Because the first one I showed everyone was my life journal, which is like, what was your pet, your nickname as a kid, and what was your first job? Can you explain to us more of this one?
Yes, the My Life Journal is really reflecting on your life. So it's thinking back on your life story. The Memo of Wishes is looking to your future. So it's talking about what you want as you're aging. And what we found was that's a difficult conversation to have sometimes with your family, because you do need to talk about things like what you would want your family to help you do if you lose your independence. If you're facing a life-limiting illness, what health care would you want, and what health care would you not want? You know, not everybody wants to have that full-on health care towards the end of their life, but that's a very important conversation to have with your family. And also what you want when you pass away in terms of your funeral and in terms of your memorialization. So quite a challenging conversation to take on, and one that most people really avoid having. They don't feel overly comfortable. I think most people find it hard to start that conversation with their family. So the Memo of Wishes is to encourage people to have that conversation. So what we found is if people talk about their life story, the first lot of cards you're talking about, they often talk about what's been important to them in their life and their values. And that's a natural segue into starting to talk about what's important for you in your future, which is it's so important that your family know that. I say to families, it's giving your family a gift. It's giving them the gift of peace of mind, because should you become ill, they know exactly what your thoughts are about healthcare and accommodation. So it's really a gift to have that conversation with your family.
So there's one more piece to that. Like my mother-in-law has 7 children, you know, and the reason I'm doing some of this to help them is I've known this. I know how this all works. I've done it for 40 years. So this is like the back of my hand. As a matter of fact, she says I have certain things I want to give certain children, and I see in your paperwork here that you can say who gets what, which is like, we already started a list on a piece of loose leaf, but it could be in here. This is not legally binding though. Can it be legally bound, like with a notary or something? Just
no, it's not. No, it's more about what your wishes are, and you'll notice a lot of the questions there are prompting people. You know, such an important question. Have you made a will? And if you have, where is it located?
Yeah.
As a funeral director, I know how many families would say to me, "We know Mum made a will, but we've looked for a week and we don't know where she has it." So it's a prompt to go through all of the things that you need to talk to your family about. Another thing as a funeral director, a number of times I had families ring me weeks after a funeral and tell me they'd found paperwork where Dad had already paid for a funeral with another company, with another funeral home. Forgot to tell them, you know. So it's a prompt, all those questions for all the things that you need to talk to your family about. So no, it's not legally binding. It's there to prompt you to get a lot of other legal documents in place.
And you know what it'll help everyone about is some of the questions will prompt you to ask your elder lawyer in whatever country you're from to address some of these questions that came up in the wishes. Like right now, Mom is from Florida and she doesn't have a DNR. The DNR was from Florida, but now she's in Connecticut. And things get kind of strange in America. The states are all separated. So she does want a DNR. So I want to make sure that I have this in place so there's no confusion, no crisis. Families divide and they fight when it comes to this piece of people's lives. And if only the person could make this solidified, even at a younger age, you don't have to be 70, 80, 90. I mean, things can happen. One of my friends friends' husbands died suddenly at 74. He dove into a water in the middle of the sound. He broke his neck and he died. And he was 74. What I'm trying to say is that we all don't know how long we have. And if, you know, you don't have to wait till you're 90 to say, I think I got to do this. It'd be nice to kind of have some of your wishes in place now. Would you agree? How's that work out for younger people that didn't plan on dying, you know? They died suddenly. Do you think?
Absolutely, and quite often they don't have a will. It's that it's that bulletproof thing. We always think that we have X amount of time still left. I spoke to a lady the other day, and she said to me, "Oh, I don't want to talk to my family about any of that until I have to." And I said, "So when will you know when you've reached the point where you have to?"
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know, do we? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow,
No.
and that's
And you know
that's
what
why I
else?
said
I'm sorry, I was going to say find one of your children, or if not even your child. It got, you know, sometimes the children are not the people that you trust for some strange family reason. But as long as you have somebody that you trust that you can do this with, so it's done. Correct?
oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and you know, it's putting it off till the right moment. Having that conversation, the right moment doesn't usually present itself. You have to find that right moment to talk to your family. Alternatively, if you're, you know, you have an elderly parent, you have to be brave and bring the subject up. And once again, the cards are designed as a soft approach. You know, you don't want to sit there with a clipboard and say,
Yeah.
"Gee, hey Dad, I want to talk to you about if you get too old."
Yeah.
You know, what you want to do it now while people are healthy enough and clear-minded enough to make decisions about what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And while I know when my husband was in the last month of his life, he couldn't speak for himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he had never had this conversation with me or my sons, and it became very difficult because we all had different ideas about what health intervention should be happening.
Wow.
And I can tell you from experience, it is the last thing you want happening at that time.
I love that the cards are, you know, you could do 5 and then say, I've had enough today.
Yes,
And do
yes,
5 more next week, and then say, hey Mom, let's look at the cards. You want to do the one with the sunset? You know, I love
yes.
sunsets. And then you just inspire them to kind of keep going till the
And
booklet is done.
and what normally happens is once that conversation starts, and like you said, you might only do 1 or 2 or 3 cards, but then the person who's answering thinks about that in the interim. And when you come back to it, they say, look, I've had a bit more of a think, and I need to tell you all these things as well. So it's just that getting that conversation rolling, and it becomes easier once you start. It's just the initial start that's difficult. It becomes easier once you start to go through the questions.
That's so, so good. Do it in paper form if you're like me and I still like paper, or you could do it electronically and fill in the blanks. Love that. And
And
is there
and the
anything you want to add? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
all right, I was just going to say, and the Your Life Wishes, the memo of wishes, is also on the app. So both of those conversations are available on the app. And I can tell you the price in US dollars. It's $2.99
Oh my
US.
gosh,
But
that's
again,
nothing. That's nothing. So Jolene, you send these card packs though, if people want to work in this format all over the world to people, or
yes, we do. That's right.
okay. So, hey everyone, I have a Facebook page, Caregiver Success on Facebook. We will put like a printable, downloadable page for Jolene Hill's products here for you. One about your life wishes and one about your life story. These are so beautiful, and if only I had them for my thousands of people I did house calls for. They would have loved it. I would have wrapped it in a bow for Christmas and everyone would have gotten a box because, you know, conversation is everything. If you can just say what you wish and you've said it, and there you go. You know, so I love it. I love this product. So we're going to definitely give you some more information. Tell us now the site that they can go to get it
Uh,
if they want to.
yourlifetalks.com.
Your life, your life's
Talk,
talk, your
no,
lives.
Your Life Talk. Your Life. So I can't say it myself. Your Life Talks with an S on the end of talks.com.
yourlifetalks.com. Okay, and
Yeah.
you will see it's very usable because I went on there today to navigate and be one of you. Also, I just want to share with you, please go to my YouTube channel, Caregiver Success. I'm Nancy the NP, and you'll see lots of videos similar to this from hopefully people all over the world. I'm loving this. This is my first real exposure. And I do want to just toot my horn about this book. I wrote a book called Caregiver Success, and it's very big, and it covers a lot of issues, including end of life, but not the tool. I would have had this in my book if I knew about it. Came out right before COVID, and it's Amazon, and it's on caregiversuccess.com, everyone. It's all about looking good at 90 to taking care of constipation, skin tears, and end of life issues. So check it out. It's in 14 fonts, so even grandma can read it while she's sitting there. I am so grateful that you came on with me. You might want to go back to bed now, right, Jolene?
Maybe. Definitely time for a coffee.
I
Early
was
morning
just going to
coffee.
say, where's that coffee, you know? All right, everyone. So till the next video, it's Nancy, the nurse practitioner. You stay well and take care, everyone. Peace. Bye, Jolene.
Bye now.